Within its walls, the corporate summit was unraveling, and Alex Mercer could feel the weight of every whisper, every guarded glance pressing on him like the unyielding vacuum outside. He stood in the muted light of the conference room, the air recycled but thick with tension. Across from him sat Marcus Vale, the corporate delegate whose reputation for charm was as renowned as the shadows clouding his true intentions. Marcus's tall frame was impeccable in a tailored suit, the sharp cut accentuating a calculating gaze that never quite settled. "You want to play this straight with me?" Alex asked, voice low but firm. The data chip Marcus had slid across the table gleamed faintly under the harsh lights. Marcus's lips curled into a half smile. "I want to survive this summit, Alex. And I think we both can agree the sabotage is a threat to all of us. Though I admit my interests might not perfectly align with yours." Alex's eyes narrowed. He knew better than to take anyone's words at face value, especially not Marcus's. But the chip was a little crack in the conspiracy that had threatened to unravel Helix One's very existence. "What's on that?" Alex asked, picking up the chip with gloved fingers. "Information on the sabotage network locations, possible operatives, patterns," Marcus replied. "It's incomplete, but it's a start." Alex glanced at the door, then back at Marcus. "Why come to me?" Marcus leaned forward, voice dropping to a whisper. "Because if this station goes down, no one wins. And because I think you're the only one who can make sense of it all." The room seemed to close in on Alex, the hum of life support a constant reminder of the stakes. He weighed the offer carefully. Trusting Marcus was a gamble, one that could either save the station or hasten its destruction. Meanwhile, in the science lab, Dr. Lena Ortiz's fingers flew across the console, her eyes scanning the streams of data. The sabotage signatures were subtle but growing more frequent, a creeping poison eating at the station's systems. "Alex," Lena's voice crackled over the comms. "I've isolated new patterns in the sabotage attempts. They're targeting the power grid and life support redundancies. We're running out of time." Alex's jaw clenched. "We're forming a team. Marcus is cooperating, but I don't trust him yet." "Be careful," Lena warned. "The deeper we dig, the more dangerous it gets." In the narrow corridors, Alex met with Chief Engineer Raj Patel. The two floated in zero gravity, their movements practiced and efficient. "Raj, how vulnerable are we?" Alex asked. Raj gestured toward a panel displaying the station's schematics. "Fragile. The sabotagers hit our backups hard. If they manage to disable the main grid well, we're looking at a total blackout." Alex's eyes drifted toward the viewport, where Earth's blue curves spun silently beneath them. "We can't let that happen. Not here. Not now." Back in the security office, Alex pored over encrypted messages intercepted from within the summit. The data Marcus provided was a thread to pull, but unraveling it risked exposing them to greater danger. "Trust is a luxury we can't afford," Alex muttered to himself as he mapped out the connections. "But so is ignorance." The uneasy alliance with Marcus was a razor's edge, balancing between survival and betrayal. Every step forward deepened the web of suspicion, but it also illuminated the shadows where the saboteurs hid. As the chapter closed, Alex stood at the crossroads of trust and necessity, knowing that the choices he made tonight could either save Helix One or doom it to destruction. The station's future and the lives aboard it hung in the balance, tethered to the fragile thread of a dangerous alliance. The fight for Helix One was far from over, and the next move could change everything. Corporate leaders, their faces taut with unease, sat around a sleek, circular table etched with the insignia of their respective corporations. Despite the mounting crises, the summit pressed forward, each delegate eager to secure their interests before the fragile orbital station became a monument to failure. Alex Mercer stood near the command center's large viewport, the blackness of space stretching infinitely beyond, an unsettling reminder of their isolation. His lean frame was rigid with tension, eyes scanning multiple holographic displays, flickering with system diagnostics and security logs. Muted alarms occasionally punctuated the low hum of the station's life support systems, each blip a stark reminder of the sabotage that had become an unrelenting threat. Life support fluctuations stabilized for now. Dr. Lena Ortiz reported steadily, her voice crackling softly over the comms. Her medium stature was barely visible in the dim, bluish glow of the science bay, where consoles flickered with streams of data. Her curly black hair was pulled back loosely, glasses perched low on her nose as she monitored the station's vitals. Alex exhaled slowly. Good, but we can't afford complacency. Every system is a potential target. The words hung heavy in the stale air of the command center. Outside, the station's bulkhead walls reflected the intermittent strobe lights, warning of minor system faults. Only if caught in time. He turned to Jenna Wu, who was tapping rapidly on her wrist console. Any unusual movements in Sector 6? Nothing yet, Jenna replied, her voice low but alert. But the comms have been jittery. I'm rerouting to secure channels. Alex nodded, appreciating her unwavering focus. Jenna was more than a subordinate. She was a critical part of his makeshift team, a steady presence amid the swelling storm. Meanwhile, Marcus Vale lounged against the far wall of the conference room, his tall frame sharply dressed in a tailored suit that contrasted with the utilitarian attire of most station staff. His calculating gaze swept the room, flickering with a mixture of charm and suspicion. The tension between factions was palpable, each faction jockeying for power while watching each other like predators circling prey. We can't let paranoia undermine progress, Marcus said smoothly, his voice carrying a pragmatic edge as he addressed a group of delegates. The sabotage is a threat, yes, but so is losing the momentum of this summit. Alex's jaw tightened. Marcus's ambiguous loyalties had become a thorn in his side, a reminder that betrayal lurked not only in external threats, but within their own ranks. Progress without security is meaningless, Alex countered firmly, stepping into the room. If the station goes down, none of us get what we came here for. The room fell into a tense silence. Delegates exchanged wary glances, the fragile balance of alliance and suspicion teetering precariously. Later, Alex convened with Chief Engineer Raj Patel in the engineering bay, a cramped space lined with exposed conduits and control panels. Raj's steady hands flew over the controls, orchestrating repairs to damaged systems. The sabotage is getting more sophisticated, Raj admitted, wiping sweat from his brow despite the station's recycled air. We're patching holes as fast as they open, but it's a losing battle if we don't find the source. Alex's gaze hardened. Then we tighten the noose. Increased patrols, secure all sensitive access points, and keep communication lines encrypted. No one goes unmonitored. Raj nodded, the weight of the task evident in his tired eyes. In the following hours, Alex moved through Helix 1's narrow corridors with Jenna at his side. The zero-gravity environment rendered their movements fluid but deceptive. The faint hum of the station's systems was their constant companion, underscored by the distant echoes of voices and the occasional mechanical groan. Jenna's quick updates kept Alex informed. Sector 4's sensors picked up unauthorized access at 0300 hours. No visual confirmation yet. Alert the security teams, Alex instructed, his voice steady despite the rising tension. "We can't afford another breach." Back in the conference room, the summit continued amid guarded discussions and veiled accusations. The corporate players pushed forward with their agendas, the threat of sabotage lingering like a shadow over their negotiations. Alex found himself caught between enforcing security and managing the delicate political dance of the summit. At one point, Marcus approached him, a faint smirk playing on his lips. "You're making a lot of enemies," he said quietly. "But maybe that's what it takes to get things done." Alex met his gaze evenly. "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to keep this station from blowing up." Marcus's smirk faded, replaced by a calculating seriousness. "Then maybe we're on the same side, for now." The uneasy alliance was a fragile thread in the tangled web of trust and betrayal that defined Helix One's current state. As the day wore on, the station's systems stabilized temporarily, but the underlying threat remained unresolved. Alex's mind raced with contingency plans, aware that every decision carried weighty consequences. In the quiet moments, he allowed himself a brief reflection on the cost of leadership in this suspended world. The pressure was immense, the margin for error razor thin. Yet, beneath the anxiety, a steely resolve took root. The summit, the station, the lives aboard depended on his ability to navigate this fragile balance. Night cycles blurred in the artificial environment. Time marked only by the shifting light patterns simulated within Helix One. Alex stood once again by the viewport, gazing into the abyss beyond. The stars were indifferent, cold pinpricks in the vast silence. But inside the station, the fight was anything but silent. His communicator beeped softly. A new alert. Alex's lips pressed into a thin line. The battle was far from over. "We hold the line," he whispered to himself, steeling for what was to come. And as the station hummed beneath his feet, the fragile balance held for now. Alex Mercer moved cautiously, his body weightless but his senses sharply anchored. Every flicker of light, every faint creak of the station's infrastructure was a potential clue or trap. He floated forward, scanning the walls and ceiling with methodical precision. The summit was in full swing, but beneath the polished surfaces and corporate pleasantries lurked a deadly threat, a saboteur who had already shown a chilling aptitude for stealth and destruction. Alex's mind replayed the fragments of intel he'd pieced together over the past days. The sabotage attempts had escalated from subtle system glitches to overt attacks on critical infrastructure. Each incident ratcheted up the stakes, and the zero gravity of Helix One transformed every confrontation into a complex dance of physics and survival. Now, he was closer than ever to the source. His gut told him the saboteur was nearby waiting, watching, ready to strike again. The corridor's sterile lights cast long shadows on the smooth panels, heightening the sense of isolation. Alex's breath was steady, controlled. There was no room for error. Then, from the corner of his eye, a movement. A shadow peeled away from the darkness, detaching itself like a spectre from the void. The figure was clad in dark tactical gear, designed for zero gravity. A visor partially obscured the face, but the intent in those quick, fluid motions was unmistakable: attack. Without hesitation, the operative lunged. Alex reacted instantly, muscles coiling as he twisted his body to evade the strike. The corridor became a stage for their deadly ballet flurry of spinning bodies. Fists and blades moving in perfect, weightless harmony. The clash was fierce and silent. No gravity meant no grounding, so every push sent them gliding unpredictably through the air. Alex's training kicked in. He reached for the environment, his fingers finding a panel edge to propel himself. Momentum surged through his lean frame as he narrowly dodged a blade that sliced through the air, its cold glint catching the corridor lights. The saboteur was agile, but Alex was faster, more precise. The fight was not just physical, but tactical, a game of anticipation and reaction. Their bodies collided again, this time Alex managing to pin the operative against the bulkhead. His hands gripped the saboteur's arms, holding firm even as the other struggled to break free. Slowly, the visor slid back, revealing a face that hit Alex with a wave of shock. Recognition flash, this was no stranger. The revelation spun a new thread in the tangled web of deceit aboard Helix 1. Breathing hard, Alex stared at the saboteur's eyes that once belonged to someone he had trusted, or at least thought he could. The implications were staggering. The sabotage was deeper than he'd imagined, threaded through the very people he'd relied upon. The zero-gravity confrontation had lifted the veil on a hidden enemy, and with it, the stakes of the summit became clearer and deadlier. As the saboteur went silent under Alex's grip, a new chapter of the fight for Helix 1 began, a battle not just with an external enemy, but with the ghosts of trust and betrayal that haunted every corridor of the station. Alex knew this was only the beginning. Somewhere in the shadows, others watched and waited. The summit's fragile peace was shattered, and the race to prevent catastrophe had entered its most dangerous phase yet. "You're not the only one who thinks they can play this game," Alex whispered, eyes locked on the captive face. "But I'm the one who will finish it." The corridor's lights flickered briefly, as if echoing the tension that crackled in the air. Outside, the station spun silently in the void, oblivious to the deadly confrontation unfolding within. And Alex Mercer, battered but unbroken, prepared to take the next step into the heart of the conspiracy. The zero-G fight was a crucible, testing every ounce of his skill, determination, and trust. As the saboteur's identity settled in his mind, Alex realized that the line between friend and foe had blurred irrevocably. The summit was no longer just a corporate event. It was a battlefield, and the enemy was closer than anyone suspected. With the saboteur subdued, Alex signaled Jenna Wu on the comms. Containment secured, sending transport for extraction, but this is far from over. We need to dig deeper now. Jenna's voice crackled in response, steady despite the tension. "Understood, Alex. Stay sharp, I'm on my way." As he floated in the dim corridor, the weight of isolation pressing down despite the lack of gravity, Alex's mind raced. Trust was a fragile commodity here, and betrayal was the deadliest weapon. But he was ready to face whatever came next. The battle in zero gravity had revealed more than just a saboteur. It had unveiled the true depth of the threat, and Alex Mercer was determined to stop it, no matter the cost. His fingers moved swiftly over the control panel, coaxing data streams into decipherable form. Every decrypted line brought him closer to the truth, a truth that chilled his blood, despite the sterile coldness of the station's environment. For weeks, subtle anomalies had teased his senses. Power fluctuations, unexplained system glitches, hints of sabotage buried beneath layers of corporate posturing and strategic deception. But now, as the encrypted transmissions yielded their secrets, the full scope of the threat crystallized. Vivian Cade's voice, sharp and precise, echoed through the decrypted manifestos, revealing not just a plot to cripple Helix 1, but a deeply personal vendetta intertwined with a radical ideology about corporate power and dominance. Alex leaned back, the chair creaking softly beneath him in zero gravity, his sharp eyes scanning the holographic text as it detailed Vivian's plan. She sought to annihilate the station, not merely for profit or power, but to send a message, to erase the fragile alliances that she deemed corrupt and unworthy. Her sabotage was a calculated strike against the very heart of corporate influence, a ruthless gambit fueled by bitterness and ambition. The revelation unsettled Alex. Vivian was not just a saboteur. She was a visionary of destruction, a woman who had once soared within the corporate echelons only to be cast down by the very system she now sought to dismantle. Her motivations, though warped, bore the unmistakable marks of a personal crusade. Meanwhile, elsewhere on Helix 1, Vivian Cade maintained her composure with icy precision. In the observation deck, framed by the vast blackness of space and the shimmering blue orb of Earth below, she spoke quietly into a concealed communicator. Her voice was calm, measured, but laden with a cold fire. Phase 2 initiates at Cycle 48. The station's vulnerabilities will be exploited with surgical precision. We leave no margin for error. Her piercing blue eyes reflected the distant stars as she envisioned the coming chaos, a symphony of destruction that would reshape corporate power forever. She was no longer just a disgraced executive. She was a force of reckoning. Back in the cramped meeting room, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Alex faced Marcus Vale, whose tall frame was sharply outlined by the pale light of the data screens. Marcus's calculating gaze betrayed nothing, but Alex could feel the undercurrent of uncertainty and shifting loyalties. "What exactly are you hiding, Marcus?" Alex demanded, voice low but firm. Marcus's lips curled into a faint, enigmatic smile. "Information is currency, Alex. Sometimes you have to hold your cards close, but rest assured, I'm as invested in this station's survival as anyone else." The words did little to ease Alex's suspicions. Marcus's ambiguous allegiance complicated the already tangled web of espionage. Trust was a luxury none aboard Helix 1 could afford. At the same time, Dr. Lena Ortiz stood before a bank of fluctuating system monitors, her fingers deftly manipulating controls as she analyzed the erratic readings. The subtle vibrations coursing through the station were a constant reminder of their precarious position. "Life support and power grids are deteriorating faster than we anticipated," Lena reported, eyes sharp behind her glasses. "If we don't stabilize the systems, the entire station could become uninhabitable within hours." Alex absorbed the gravity of her words. Time was slipping through their fingers, and Vivian's plan was advancing with ruthless efficiency. "We need to act now," he said, determination hardening his voice. "No more delays." The chapter unfolded as a tense dance of revelation and strategy, peeling back layers of Vivian's hidden agendas, while showcasing the fractured alliances aboard Helix 1, Alex's. Discovery of the encrypted manifesto was a turning point, a stark illumination of the ideological fire driving the antagonist and the scope of the disaster looming. As the chapter drew to a close, Alex's mind raced with possibilities. He knew the confrontation with Vivian was inevitable, a collision course set by the unyielding forces of ambition and betrayal. The shadows were lengthening, the stakes higher than ever. Would he be able to outmaneuver a foe whose resolve was as unyielding as the vacuum of space itself? Could trust be forged among fractured allies in time to save the station from obliteration? The answers remained just out of reach, suspended in the cold, unforgiving void that was both their prison and battleground. The fate of Helix 1 hung in the balance, and Alex Mercer was the last line of defense against the darkness that sought to consume them all. The countdown to chaos had begun.